guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. This is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. So apparently the other day when I put out a video saying that I don't have anything else to talk about, all men's problems seem to be doing pretty well, and there's nothing else new in the news, and we're all finished. And thanks, and I'm gonna stop recording on YouTube. 50% of you knew I was kidding around because of April 1st and April Fool's Day. 49% of you thought I was being serious and said some very, very nice things about me. And 1% of you told me to F off, and you didn't think I was doing a good job in it anyway. So thank you for the kind words. Thank you for those of you that decided to return and come back and see if I was still around. I thought I was making it very clear that it was a joke. I even put in the video description below the video, there's a reason why I waited until April 1, 2020 to post this, but not everybody checks that. Nonetheless, I'm like a rash. I'm a little harder than that to get away from. The story I wanted to talk to about tonight is it's one I thought was covered pretty well in the news, so I wasn't going to much talk about it, but I've been getting email after email and message after message asking you guys, wanting me to cover the Women's Day march that occurred in Spain and why they think this vaulted Spain up so high in the countries that are currently suffering from the numbers very similar to Italy with the bug, and that women were saying that men were the cause of all the problems in the world, where it turns out actually the women were their own worst enemy in pooling up in a very tight area, getting each other sick or possibly getting each other sick. So let's move to the story, and this is from March 8th, so I did go back and pull up the original story. And this is before anything bad had happened. So, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. But I thought this would be interesting to look at it from the lens on the day it was happening versus later on stories. So in Madrid, thousands of women across Spain marched on Sunday against inequality to mark the International Women's Day, despite the concerns the gathering could help the spread of the bug. And from my understanding, there were hundreds of thousands. So it wasn't just a few thousand. And I'm assuming also that they probably came from large areas far outside of the central area in Spain. So that could have bolstered this by quite a bit. Bearing flags and banners denouncing gender violence, a crowd of purple-clad women paraded down one of Madrid's main avenues toward the city center, chanting over booming drums. One protester held a sign that said, "Machismo terminates more than the bug." Oops, not so much. Yeah, machismo may be, I'm sure, responsible for some things, but not so much more than the bug. Guess we found out the real stats behind that one, didn't we? All it took was 2.5 weeks. It says we must be strong and fight for the rights of all of us to be equal, to be paid as much as men. One of the drummers, Marina Martin, told Reuters. Now, I don't know the situation in Spain, but I have to assume it's probably like it is in Australia and in the United Kingdom and in most Northern European countries, as well as Canada and here in the United States, where men are actually in some cases getting paid a little bit less because there's such a push for this and they don't look at the actual statistics behind it. I don't know. I could be wrong. It might still be kind of old school over in Spain. I don't know. But they felt it was important enough to ignore the health warnings and everybody accumulate together to speak up for this, even if it wasn't such a great time doing so. And because of this particular march directly, they put everybody in the country at risk. That, to me, is a little selfish. Spain's women's rights movement has emerged as a formidable political force since 5 men were jailed in 2016 for doing bad things and gang struggling a woman at the Paloma Bull Running Festival. Now, this was 5 men in 2016. So here we are 4 years later. And so now is when we had to have this happen. And reading this, it sounds like, well, they say they were jailed. So what's the point here? Look, bad actors are going to be bad actors. Bad people do bad things. You can march and you can speak to and you can scream to the high heavens that you think this is wrong. And if you ask normal people like myself, normal, every one of you viewers, I'm sure, if you ask, what do you think about this? Every one of us would say, that's horrible. That should not exist. Normal people are like this. The people that aren't like this are deviants and criminals. And you know what criminals don't do? They don't care about your marches, do they? So this is not really going to help you. It does, however, make a big, almost become like a political movement, but it's not going to help you directly. Responding to discontent with Spain's laws, the way they are currently, the left-wing government has approved a bill to qualify all non-consensual acts as snuggle struggling, right? So all of them are illegal, any non-consensual. Now, what's the difference between, would you like to go back to my place? Yes, I would. We fooled around. The next morning, she gets a test done, finds out that, yes, your DNA is present and that you actually did fool around. She said, well, I didn't consent. Well, what do you have? You have your word. Well, yes, you did. Guess who's now going to jail? You. Previously, a perpetrator had to have used actual physical or intimidation for that to be classified as such. So now it's just non-consent. And again, like we have the problems here in the United States, especially in New York, non-consent can be also classified as regret. So we get the point of this one. Now let's move forward. Fast forward 2.5 weeks. How the bug took just weeks to overwhelm Spain. Shocking. 18 days. A few hundred cases escalated to more life-ending events than the CCP. On Saturday, 7 March, 24 hours before, hundreds of thousands of people rallied across Spain to mark International Women's Day, and a very few 9,000 faithful Vox supporters arrived in Madrid for a far-right jamboree. Authorities in the northern region of La Rioja were taking some difficult decisions. So you had 100,000 people, women, and about 9,000 that were looking for a jamboree, I guess. So a little guilt on their part, too. That weekend, not quite 3 weeks ago, Spain had confirmed just 430 cases. After 60 of those were traced to a funeral in the neighboring Basque County, La Rioja regional government ordered the shutting down of entire blocks of a neighborhood in the small town of Haro. 18 days later, Spain has confirmed more than 47,000 cases. And I think today, let's see, we are at 112,000 in Spain, with 10,300 not with us anymore on the land of the living. But you can see here how many people were in this photo. I mean, it is massive, massive photo. And the whole point of this story is this is happening everywhere. And this is a little less with the bug and a little bit more of these people felt it was so important. See, when you do a rally like this, when you do a get-together like this, when you go out on the streets and holler and hoot and blame all things on men and so on and so forth, here's what you're actually changing. At most, you may change some people's minds, at most. What you're not doing is changing any laws. Now, over time, if enough of this happens, yes, you can get different government officials that are voted in, and they can make these changes. But what are you asking for to change? Are you asking for the laws to change? Well, the laws already prosecute men that have done bad actions. You're not going to stop those men no matter what the laws are. That's why they're called criminals. That's why they go to jail, because they're doing things that are illegal. All you're doing is you're making life tougher on your average, everyday citizen that is a guy that normally does the right thing in life. And so now, when you give all these protections and all this coverage to women, the only way a guy has to protect himself, the only way to make sure that he's not that 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, whatever the statistics are, the only way he doesn't get painted into a corner is to walk away from women, walk away from a situation where he could get in trouble, even if he didn't do something. Because as we've said before, now if a if a woman says, he intimidated me, he threatened me, do you have proof of this? No, but I'm telling you this. And they say, okay, well, we have to believe them. I mean, in some cases, you could say that's a good thing, because we want women to have that protection if something bad happens to them. But when there is no proof, we've seen time and case again. There's now thousands of examples where this is weaponized to punish somebody, and specifically to punish a man that the woman was upset with. As long as this continues, the same thing with other things happening in the courts, as long as this continues, the only option men have to stay safe and to stay out of these situations 100% is staying away from dating, staying away from getting in trouble. Now, I'm not saying that means you have to go out and be a monk, but it means that if you're going to meet somebody and go on a date, and whether you want to say this is the same for women as men, it doesn't matter. If you're going to meet somebody, it used to be you tell women, hey, make sure to meet in a public place so you can make sure he's not a bad guy. Now it's men that have to also say, hey, make sure you meet in a public place so she can't say you did something if she's a little bit touched in the head. You need to make sure that you can vet her and again, there's no guarantees that you can, but you need to try to vet her to make sure that she's not a little bats in the belfry and that she's going to get you in trouble for something you didn't do. So it's always most advisable to meet in a public place, get to know them enough to say, okay, she's got all her ducks in a row. I'm not afraid that I'm going to get blamed of something. Does that 100% protect you? No, but those are the risks you take. Guys, tonight I'm going to ask you if you want to support my work. I'm going to leave a link right directly below this video. It'll be the very first link. I have a couple of nurses and doctor friends up in the New Jersey area, and let me record a picture of this here so you can see it. I'm going to leave a link for Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook account, I'm going to say anything that is donated to me this month, for the month of April, anything you donate to my PayPal account, I'm going to be sending to this North Jersey bug supply group. And what they do is, if I scroll down here, they've actually found a way to take a roll of PVC. I think it's like a PVC vinyl type material that's see-through, and they take a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a strap. They take a foam pad and they unroll the vinyl and trim it for a face shield, and they can put this on. Now, they wear masks underneath this, but what it does is it keeps so they don't have to wear goggles, because the goggles and the visors that they get are only temporary or one-use items. What this allows you to do is they can make this, and they can be reused and sterilized in an autoclave. And so you can slip this on, wear it in when you're interfacing with a patient that may not have a mask or is first coming into the hospital. And if they cough or if they breathe or if they have something, it protects the doctor's eyes. And even though they do have a mask, if someone coughs and it gets spittle or something on their face, and it can, accidentally, again, get in the eyes and things like this. Each one of these is I think from what I've been told, is somewhere around $5 or $10 per. And that's for the vinyl. They're buying this stuff in bulk and making lots of masks at once. So it's going to be vinyl for a face shield, a foam padding up here, and then right now they're using a surgical, like a wrist wrap. What do you call it? Like I don't know, elastic. But they may switch them over to a Velcro type system. But they're making these things like by hand when they're off work, and each one, like I said, comes $5 or $10. I don't know the exact numbers, but any donations that you make to me to my PayPal below will be donated 100% to this cause, or I'll leave a link down below if you want to donate directly through Facebook. They have both. You can put in either a credit card or you can use a PayPal as well. Right now they've raised $2,400 out of a goal of $10,000, and this is for doctors, for nurses, for everybody that comes in contact with the public, to try to keep our medical staff safe and to give them reusable product instead of having to use something, throw it away, and then wait for more supplies to come up. So I thought this was a great cause. They can make a ton of these masks from this stuff. They want to order it in bulk, so I'm going to leave this link. That's how you can support my channel. this month. And if you do support me directly, all my funds will be going to them as well. If you want to support me other than that, a like, a comment, and a share is always the best way to do it. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. This is Better Bachelor. I am Joker. And remember, a good way to give back to the community. If this is not your thing, find some way to give back to your community. But let's see if we can fight the good fight, even if it's from the insides of our homes.